Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Li Wei-Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in the show, the Tzu Chi Australia chapter organises a third aid distribution in the flood-affected area of Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. One of Taiwan's ecological gems, Lanyu Island, is home to the country's nuclear waste storage facility. The island's ecosystem is facing the dire threat of radioactive contamination. And later, have you tasted a special type of Chinese steamed bun made from old dough? In today's featured report, we find out why there are very few shops in Taiwan that sell old dough buns. At the end of February, heavy rainfall caused flooding in New South Wales, Australia. Tzu Chi volunteers carried out 2 aid distributions in one of the heavily damaged areas, Wagga Wagga. For the flood victims who did not receive the provisions in the relief distributions, volunteers made a special trip back to Wagga Wagga with more supplies.
In the heavily flooded area around Wagga Wagga in New South Wales, Australia, many disaster victims have still not received emergency supplies. Tzu Chi volunteers make their third 600-kilometre trip in 2 weeks to deliver supplies.
The goal this time is to send them the love they didn't receive.
We have 240 blankets. We're sitting on them to minimize our trips.
Supplies come first and comfort second. Volunteers make the most of their 7-hour trip in their mobile office.
We can work continuously charging the computers and cell phones inside our vehicle.
The mayor of Wagga Wagga personally welcomes the volunteers upon their arrival. The residents here are now quite familiar with Tzu Chi.
So we had to come, even we don't have time, but we still come.
Tzu Chi first prepared supplies for 20 households, not expecting there would be 40 more. It is evident that the Taiwanese NGO has clearly won the trust of disaster victims. At the distribution site, flood victim David came with a bucket of coins he has saved over 7 months to give to Tzu Chi.
So it so touched me and very meaningful for us, and encourage us to do more for everyone. I wish you could take care.
This time there are only 5 Tzu Chi volunteers who are helped by local residents. A father and daughter pair also came to volunteer because Tzu Chi helped them clean their house.
Before a week ago, I didn't know your organisation existed, but now I've been told that you're on Facebook and there's websites, and I'm going to take more interest in the organisation, and my children have already started putting some coins in there.
Yeah, I'll put a coin in it every day to wish to help somebody else less unfortunate in the world.
Touch your heart.
Yes, it did, very much.
After the Wagga Wagga distribution, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to survey other disaster areas to bring love to other needy families.
Moving to the United States, the 4-day clinic co-hosted by Tzu Chi and Remote Area Medical in the city of Oakland ended on the 25th of March. Doctors and volunteers worked till the last second before moving on to the next clinic in Sacramento. This is the last day of the 4-day clinic in Oakland. Even though the doctors and staff have already put in many long hours, they treat each patient they see with the same attention and care as their first.
You have 3 fillings to do and 2 teeth to take out. So we have some work to do, okay? Breathe. Good job.
Everybody's just scared of a dentist, right? No, they're great. They're great. They're wonderful.
It's on the suction. Close, close.
I mean, I'm tired, but when you're around good people, it doesn't really matter. If everyone has like a good mentality of it, it helps. It's better than coffee.
The economy in the United States has left many out of work, including doctors. Kathy, a dental hygienist, lost her job last year but still decided to help out at the clinic. Her work attitude left many inspired and also found her a new job.
You know, I wasn't expecting anything. The blessings come when you just do what the right thing is and you don't expect anything.
From 5 this morning, for 12 straight hours, volunteers worked non-stop to break down the dental chairs and other medical equipment. Volunteers separate the equipment into clearly labeled boxes. Once packed and ready to go, they'll be sent to the volunteers' next destination.
可以休息啊。对，休息完了我们再来，很好玩。
In 2 days, the next free clinic, also set to last 4 days, will open in the city of Sacramento, 140 kilometers to the south, bringing free medical care to those in the city that need it the most. Continuing our series on Taiwan's radioactive waste management, we return to Lanyu, an island with a vibrant ecosystem. In 1982, Taiwan's government started shipping low-level nuclear waste to be stored on the island. Though the government claimed the storage facility is totally safe, mutated fish have been found around the island. Went to investigate the problem. The sky lake of Lanyu, high above the forest, is holy ground for the island's residents. It is actually a crater lake formed after a volcanic eruption. To arrive at the lake, one must overcome a treacherous mountain path. Perhaps this is why the indigenous Tao people say it is haunted to keep their children safe. Along the hike, one is more likely to see many beautiful creatures indigenous to the island. Yet, there is also the presence of intruders.
The government wanted to add more greenery to Lanyu and planted these evergreens, thinking they will act as a wind barrier. But who builds a wind barrier on top of a mountain? It should be along the shore. This is an example of miscalculated policies.
Along with the blossoming tourist industry, guided tours have become popular on the island. Yet these mountain trails and rest areas are also causing harm to the environment.
I've
been wondering whether storing nuclear waste here is the right policy. After all, this is a small island, and yet it's so beautiful and supports so many different species. Don't wait until the island is contaminated and becomes an island of death.
The ominous outlook of the island's residents is brought on by Taipower's nuclear waste storage facility that became operational in 1982. Inside the storage facility, there are 23 trenches. They may differ in length and width and size, but all of them have a concrete roof that is 35 centimeters in thickness. The concrete walls surrounding the trenches are also 35 centimeters thick. The trenches sit 1.5 meters above ground and 3 meters underground. It's these underground rooms where the nuclear waste are stored.
We use the ground as a barrier to block the radiation, and for the radiation that goes upward or off to the side, we can use these concrete barriers to block them.
Even though government agencies have also guaranteed the safety of the facility, inspection reports and surveys have shown otherwise, inciting public protests.
All the various isotope deposits detected at Lanyu are higher than those detected around nuclear power plant 3 or those around other plants. In the report, it says over the past 4 years, cobalt-60 and cesium-137 have been increasing exponentially.
Cobalt-60 and cesium-137 are mainly the radioactive isotopes found in the facility. They all give off radiation of various levels. Alpha particles consist of helium nuclei and can be blocked by a piece of paper or 5 centimeters worth of air. Beta particles consist of electrons or positrons are halted by a 5 centimeter thick aluminum plate or several meters of air. However, the powerful gamma radiation can only be stopped by lead boards or thick concrete walls. But it is a different story if it gets inside your body.
Radioactive materials are like a fire source. When you get too close, you'll get burned. So just keep a safe distance. However, if you get the fire source inside your body, that's a different story. It will really be bad for your health. That's why wearing protective gear is very important.
Being exposed to excess radiation or inhaling or ingesting radioactive materials will be detrimental to our health. Simply put, radiation will break down our DNA and cause mutation. When mutated cells replicate, they might form tumors or cause lesions.
Radiation has been blocked by shielded trenches. It won't climb the mountains and follow the roads to homes like gas. And if you don't come into direct contact with the waste, it won't end up in your body either. We detected over 70 becquerel, which far exceeded the figures shown in the reports done by Thai Power, and also at different locations. So we highly suspect that the contamination on Lanyu might be a lot worse than what the figures in the past reports had shown.
I took this photo in 2004, but before that, residents in other neighborhood villages had already caught something similar to these mutated fish.
A diverse ecosystem and unique culture prompted the Taiwan government to make Lanyu a national park. Yet, had the government been successful, it might have become the first national park in the world that encompassed a nuclear waste storage facility. Despite officials' guarantees, life and ecosystem are simply too fragile to be tampered with. Unlike Taiwan, Germany has been working hard to phase out nuclear power. In the last leg of our green journey around the towns and cities of Germany, we visit the countryside to find out how local farmers use solar power, biogas and hydropower to supply their energy needs and make a surplus which they can sell back to the grid.
Februar, März.
In this barn, there are about 30 cows, but apart from raising cattle, this farm has another purpose. This old farmhouse roof is fitted with 114 solar panels, and a combination of the modern and the traditional that is typical of the new German countryside.
Our farm has a lot of roofs that were broken and needed to be repaired. I thought, since the roof is so big, I should use it, so why not install solar panels? That was the first reason, to give the roof another use and also improve the environment. The second reason was installing solar panels could help save me money.
And you see it here on months. 8 o'clock, it's nothing, and then here at 12.
Since installing the solar panels, young farmer Egon Weideler not only has to check the milk yield of his cows, but using a computer, he monitors the output of the photovoltaic cells.
Now I can successfully produce 50,000 kilowatts of power, which saves 33 tons of carbon dioxide.
Farmers always relied on the weather for a living, and now the solar panels rely on sunshine for energy. But thanks to another green technology, Mr. Weideler is not at the mercy of the elements. The German winter is very cold. A lot of fruit trees would freeze to death at this temperature. But this greenhouse can produce beautiful tomatoes like this because the tomatoes are central heated, so the greenhouse stays at the comfortable temperature of 27 to 28 degrees. The central heating for the tomatoes comes from a very clean source.
Are not so good in quality like this beets here. They are not good for quality. Because they are too small, they are broken, they are all fed in biogas.
Unwanted straw and spoiled beetroots provide the fuel for the heating. After being mixed and sent to the digester, they are broken down at a temperature of 31 degrees to create biogas with a methane content of 55%. After removing the sulfur and water, it is burned in the boiler to produce steam, which drives the turbine to make electricity. The remaining byproduct can be recycled as fertilizer.
That is the fertilizer. We have liquid fertilizer going here, and we have solid is here. So that the rest out of the process is going back to the fields. Also the circle of the nation.
The whole process, from fuel supply to energy output, is a natural cycle. So even though this is not a livestock farm, it can still produce clean biofuel. Another farmer who is boldly going where few farmers have gone before is Johannes Roche.
To the power plant, and the power plant is down there.
Oh, yeah.
We get the water into pipes like this, and the water is flowing down here into the powerhouse and driving the turbine that is leading via belts to the generator. And with that generator, we feed the power to our farm, and every power that is not used is going to the grid.
Already 25 years old, this hydroelectric power plant is an old converted watermill built by Mr. Roche's grandfather and father, which is going to be put out of commission.
They did all the digging themselves, the house building, everything they could do themselves, they did themselves. And I was like 10 years old and every time around, and got to know what it means to produce a plant like this and to produce your own power. And maybe that was the start of my career as doing the things that I do right now.
As well as supplying the whole farm with electricity, it produces a surplus that can be sold to the power grid.
Even we produce more power all over that we need. We feed in from that electrical power like 50 to 60,000 kilowatt hours a year into the grid. Also, the photovoltaic system is feeding into the grid, so we produce a lot more power than we need on the farm. So I have to check it first, you know. That is also the farm. That is my father, I think, with his brothers.
The farm has been in the Roche family for many generations. Only 35 years old, the current owner has rejected urban development because of his loyalty to his family. But rather than resting on his laurels, he has improved on the heritage of the past with modern environmental technology.
Frag, ob du stolz auf mich bist.
Das können Sie nur schlecht ausdrücken. Wenn Sie nichts sagen, sind Sie zufrieden, heißt das.
The Germans are known for their practicality, but on this green journey, I've seen they're also highly conscious of the environment and always give it priority. They also have a renewable energy program with clear goals. That's why Germany is successful. If conservation is a measure of civilization, Taiwanese society must learn to grow up and find the political will to take the sustainable route. All these faces are Taiwanese people living in Germany whose lives are connected to renewable energy. They also helped us see that an eco-friendly life can be easy. All these people are German citizens who taught us how they put the dream of a nuclear-free country into practice. Thank you to all our partners on this green journey through the cities and towns of Germany. Back to Taiwan, steamed buns made with old dough leavening, which gives them a chewier texture, are hard to find, as even experienced bun makers can't guarantee a perfect batch every time. In Zhongli, Taoyuan, a family-run shop is making these old dough buns the traditional way, and the authenticity of the buns has customers coming back for more if they can get up early enough. It is still dark when the clock hits 5 on this winter morning, yet the kitchen at Ma's Steamed Bun Shop has been busy for a while now, getting ready for the day's orders. In the batter mixer is the old dough leavening that was made several hours back. Flour is added to the dough until it becomes a smooth, stretchy mixture.
The machine mixes dough thoroughly for the water and flour to become one.
The batter mixer takes care of the bulk of the kneading work. However, due to the complexity and the rising process of the dough that uses old dough leavening, preparation work must be carried out speedily. Second-generation steamed bun maker Ma Shushen sends the dough into a press to even it out before he and his wife stretch out the mixture and cut it into equal pieces. Unlike traditional steamed buns that are more round and plump, Ma's shop makes the Shandong Gaozhuang buns that have a longer and pointier shape.
I make my buns the way they make it in northern China. These buns are taller and chewier. The buns are evenly placed apart on trays, covered with cloth, and left aside to rise again. Bun dough is very tender and the surface cracks if you expose it to the air. That's why we cover the buns with a cloth.
Looking after the buns as if they're newborns, Ma says attention must be paid to the slight changes in temperature that directly affects the fermentation of the buns. For Ma, using old dough leavening is a science in itself.
In summer, you only need to leave the dough to ferment for 4 to 5 hours, but there aren't any rules to go by. The yeast strain prefers an environment of 18 to 20 degrees Celsius in which they can thrive stably.
With 30 years of experience in making buns, Ma Shushen admits he is still not entirely confident about working with old dough leavening.
We give the flawed buns to orphans or disabled homes. The buns don't look good, but they taste the same, so we give them out for free.
Ma's father, who came to Taiwan from Shandong, China, opened a shop in 1969. Ma Shushen took over the business in the early 1980s and has been making the popular buns with his wife, Song Junian, ever since.
I do the muscle work, like carrying the dough from one place to another. I also take care of the flavoring. My wife shapes the buns.
With skilled hands, Mrs. Ma is like a stylist for the buns, shaping the dough according to the type of filling inside. For instance, vegetable buns are more round, with folds on the top, while buns with sweet bean paste are shaped into triangles.
This is the sugar triangle with sweet bean paste inside. It looks and tastes very traditional.
The opening of the steam barrel sent a column of steam upwards, filling the air with the aroma of freshly made buns.
When you smack the buns and they spring back into shape instantly, it means the buns are done.
Ma says that only buns made with old dough leavening can pass the smacking test, demonstrating the elasticity of the texture. At 6:30 a.m., customers come looking for the first batch.
I come this early. My colleagues come quite often. I've only just started buying from this shop. I've been buying their buns for many years. They're very tasty and made from old dough. That doesn't cause heartburn or indigestion. I've been eating their buns for more than 20 years now. I live just a street away. Everything is sold out now.
Customers must come early for the buns, as only 1/10 of what is made every day is sold at the shop. The rest are for orders that have already lined up for a week. The phone doesn't stop ringing, and Ma can only tell his customers to come back early the next day. The unique and tasty steam buns made with old dough leavening have become a firm favorite for many. Starting their day at 4 in the morning, for 6 hours straight, Mr. and Mrs. Ma hardly stop for a break. The couple is proud to keep the 40-year-old family business going so that more and more people can come to appreciate the unique taste of old dough buns. At the end of the show, we go to China's Tianjin, where Tzu volunteers made the day brighter for the seniors at a local nursing home and in turn felt enriched by the wisdom of their elders. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.